Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Camarilla Cafe. This is pretty much the second episode since we've taken a 2-year hiatus. And as you can see, we're here with Chris Bonica, who looks quite happy. And we're also here with Mundane Marauder. How are you guys doing tonight?
Lovely.
Fucking tired.
Oh, stop it. What'd you do, sleep all day?
I've been up since 4 o'clock in the morning.
Your video froze, by the way.
Oh, fantastic. Let me fix that.
It looks really weird talking to us still. How was your day, Chris?
Quite uneventful.
Okay.
Haven't left the apartment. It's been shitty in the Northeast all day today.
Really? What, like weather-wise or?
Yeah, weather-wise. It's been chilly and wet.
Chilly and wet.
Chilly and wet.
Is that normally what October's supposed to be up in New York?
Pretty much. That's October, November, December.
So it's basically fulfilling its destiny.
Yep. No surprises.
I don't miss it up north, man. At fucking all. I don't miss that weather.
You miss the traffic. You miss the crappy ass weather.
Nope.
The smelly. Fuck yeah.
Nope.
Yeah, you do.
Well, I'll say the traffic down here, and I think I'm speaking for everyone who lives in Tennessee at the moment. The traffic down here is becoming fucking abysmal. You're getting
Lou,
what?
If I left here right now, I would run into stop dead traffic. It's 11 o'clock at night. I know that if I went on the Staten Island Expressway, I'm getting stuck in traffic. It's 6 miles from bridge to bridge. It takes 45 minutes on the regular.
That's fucking miserable.
Isn't that miserable? Isn't that fun?
Well, I do remember the last time I visited, which I think I'm mentioning it every time we're live now. I visited, 3 months ago?
Something like that.
I was stuck in fucking bumper to bumper at 1 a.m. It was fucking awful.
That's all the time. All the time. And then you come to a section, the traffic eases up, and you say to yourself, well, what the hell were we stopped for? There's no rhyme or reason to the traffic other than, I don't know, people can't drive. I don't know. I don't know what it is.
Well, so I'll say this. For anyone who doesn't know, me and Chris practically talk every morning. We have a 40 to 50 minute conversation while I'm driving to work, and I start yapping away and going off about the traffic. And when you're on the I-65, I live in the Outer Banks of Nashville. Coming into Nashville, you'll slow down multiple times. You'll go bumper to bumper, 5 lanes, 5 fucking lanes, going bumper to bumper. And then when it opens up, there's nothing there. Like, you're thinking that people are either rubbernecking or there are some lanes closed or there's some reason. Somebody's decapitated. Somebody flew through a fucking windshield. You're hoping, almost to an extent, that something miserable happened that could fucking justify why you are crawling on the interstate. And there's no reason. And it does it 4 or 5 times like a fucking slinky.
But you also bitch and moan when you're doing 65 because it's not fast enough. Meanwhile,
that's not exactly that accurate.
That's pretty accurate. Plus, well, I was going to say here and up north, if you're doing 65, I mean, you're doing really well. 65 is like, you could do that for 5 minutes and then it's over.
That's Formula One racing.
Dude,
I'll say this, though. The fucking potholes I was hitting up there in New York, I felt like I was off-road. And I was doing 30. I was bouncing all over the place.
Everybody up here either has like an SUV or a pickup truck.
I was driving a fucking my MDX. That's considered an SUV, right? It's like a midsize.
It is. Yeah.
I was bouncing.
Everyone drives one of those.
You
have to. It is off-roading.
Yeah, no, that's fucking miserable. So we were having a conversation about something very interesting to me, near and dear to my heart. So I have 2 kids, and they grew up very attached to this entity by which we were talking. And the funny thing was, I kept saying, what's a topic? What do we have to talk about tonight? What can we talk about? And then the topic started making itself, right? You and Dustin, we're talking about one of the biggest companies in the world that I hold near and dear to my heart, and to yours too, right, Chris?
Yeah, we used to vacation at this place a lot.
Used to.
Used to.
When was the last time you were there?
It was either 2 or 3 years ago around this time, Halloween. Maybe it was 2 years ago.
Stop.
Yeah.
You haven't been there since, or either of you?
No, we haven't been there since. And before that was my 40th birthday. So that's 3.5 years ago.
Man, you're old.
Yeah,
Fucking 40. You're pretty much
I
turning
fucking
to
hate-
dust.
pretty much.
Now, what about you, Mundane? How do you feel about the company we were just talking about?
I fucking hate that place. Absolutely fucking hate it.
I'm very proud that when we lived in Florida, so we got the kids and their mom, we got them a year pass to both there and to Universal. And since I was in school at the time, they got to go there pretty much every weekend, and then they could kind of stay out of my way. I could do my schoolwork and focus. And they got to really live it up over there at Disney World. And they loved it. They absolutely loved it. I always fucking hated it. I went there once, and I'm proud to say that I took them once, and that's pretty much where the buck stops. Like,
We met you there.
okay, so I've been there like twice. Now,
Yeah.
all right, a handful of times. I've been there a handful of times. They would go every weekend though, and I don't know how anybody could even begin to think about doing that every weekend. Like, it's so overwhelming to be in that place. No,
I think if you're uncomfortable with large crowds, yes, it can be very overwhelming. But if you go out for lunch on Lexington Avenue at 12 o'clock in the afternoon to get a slice of pizza across the street, it's like being in Disney World. So
Come
it's not
on.
much different. It's crowded. Yes.
worse than it used to be.
Lexington Avenue. So where I work is like a bubble. So even during the not during the pandemic, but like kind of when the pandemic was starting to become an afterthought, where I work, a lot of people were coming back to the office and it was busy. You go to any other part of the city, it was a ghost town.
Really?
Yeah. It's really
Is that a bubble for
busy.
office buildings? Like, are 90% of the people on the street all working in one of the buildings nearby, and they're all on lunch break, right?
it's all employees.
So you don't have a crazy crowd, like just like fucking idiots staring up at the sky and pointing at the top of buildings, right?
Occasionally, there are tourists over there. There's a lot to see over there. So yeah,
Okay.
there's also that.
And now, why do you hate it, Mundane?
I had to work in the background of there as a third-party contractor.
Really?
Yeah, and they don't follow OSHA standards. They have their own Mickey Mouse badged fucking safety people.
Don't they have this deal where they're in a certain county and they have their own laws that apply to their areas?
It's like the Vatican.
Yeah, they do. And then, like I said, in the background, they don't do like OSHA rules. They do like, hey, we're Disney and we have our own rules and we don't care what OSHA says. Like the one that I had the largest problem with was you'd get on a scissor lift and you were supposed to be harnessed in, and they would have you clip off to the scissor lift below your feet, like on the edge of the scissor lift. And it's like two things. OSHA says you can't clip off below yourself. And two, what happens if that scissor lift then falls over? I just get catapulted into the fucking ground.
Right. Yeah, no, they don't give a shit about, but like Disney, I don't think has ever given a shit about anybody but Disney. So I just did a search. It says there's no specific Disney county in Florida. I could have sworn I heard that there was. Like, it's a specific area. Walt Disney World is governed by the state-controlled Central Florida Tourism Oversight District, formerly the Reedy Creek Improvement District. Laws are now being implemented to treat Disney as a regular Florida business. But it's admitting that it wasn't being implemented to
was its
treat
own thing.
Disney.
They had their own fire department, everything.
Right.
Yeah.
And they govern the whole thing.
Yes.
Disney is subject to all standard federal, state, and local laws, just like any other business. But it's saying that they didn't. What is the DeSantis Disney law? So on April 22nd, 2022, DeSantis signed a bill repealing the Reedy Creek Improvement District. Rather than seeking to dissolve Reedy Creek, DeSantis eyed seizing it, reserving that taxpayers would not be responsible for its debt, estimated to be $1 billion, or Walt Disney World's community services. So wait. So what does that also mean? So that means that they were their own district, but everything was paid for by the taxpayers?
I think they were their own district and nothing was paid for by the taxpayers, which is why they went into debt, because they had their own fire department, police department, ambulance service, everything all right there.
And that was all being paid by taxpayers, not by Disney.
I don't think it was being paid by taxpayers, but I also don't think Disney was paying for it. I'm not 100% sure how that worked.
I do think that taxpayer money was going, because I think it was funded by the state, part of it. Yeah, I think DeSantis kind of went back on some of that. Reason being is, listen, there would be no Kissimmee, there would be no Orlando if it wasn't for Disney.
And
So-
I would be inclined to agree with that. I hate Disney, but I would be inclined to agree with that. Yes.
Yeah, all those businesses. What's that one international? Was it International Drive? I mean, none of those businesses wouldn't be there. Universal wouldn't be there if it wasn't for Disney. So, I think he needs to pick and choose his battles there.
So I'm on a website, Law Review. It's the Syracuse Law Review, Syracuse University College of Law. It says that Disney sued Florida government for First Amendment violation. So this goes into like the beginning and end of Reedy Creek. So in 1967, 4 years before the Walt Disney World Company opened its first theme park, Governor Claude Kirk signed HB 486. This established the Reedy Creek Improvement District, encompassing 38.5 square miles. I should have vetted this before I just started reading it, because, man, I'm getting fucking winded here. I'm fat and old. Disney owns most of the land and uses it to build their numerous theme parks and resorts. Until 2023, Disney controlled the district's board, giving them much of the same authority as a municipal government. See? They were responsible for providing power, water, roads, and fire protection in the district, and residents of the surrounding Orange and Osceola counties would not have to pay
Osceola.
taxes. Osceola?
Osceola.
Osceola. I lived there too. And where did you go, Chris? It just said that you joined.
Sorry, MacBook controls actually backed me up.
Yeah, MacBook controls. Yeah. So today, everybody, we usually use Discord, or we used to use Zoom 2 years ago. So we moved away from Zoom. We were having some issues with Discord, so now we're using Google, which Chris likes to touch himself talking about, and he's having some issues. What a shock. It says right here, in 2022, Governor Ron DeSantis passed HB 1557, known as the Parental Rights in Education Act. All right, so the last thing that I read didn't say that. This bill prohibited classroom instruction and limited discussion on gender identity and sexual orientation. Disney spoke out, slating the bill should never have been passed, and that they were supporting anyone working toward repealing it. Just 2 weeks later, the Senate filed SB 4C, a bill dissolving any independent special district established by a special act prior to 1968. This included the Reedy Creek Improvement District and 5 other small districts. Okay. So basically, he filed something about the gender identity and sexual orientation bill. Then Disney made a remark. And then DeSantis repealed Disney's special, like the fact that they had their own government there, right?
Yeah. DeSantis did something, and then Disney didn't like it and spoke out. And then DeSantis was like, well, screw you guys. Now you lose all of this extra stuff that you got away with for 40 years.
Well, Disney, like I said, when I was in college, if you can call it a college, I went to Full Sail University. We had an entire copyright class, intellectual properties and law, and 3/4 of the class was revolving specifically around Disney and how they kept the intellectual properties and how they sued anybody who used anything that even looked like their own stuff. They didn't even come up with fucking Mickey Mouse. That was Steamboat Willie, and that wasn't their property. I don't know if they bought it or they, at the time, they weren't intellectual properties and they stole it, and then they created Mickey Mouse. I forgot when we went over that what happened. Let me see. I'll do a quick search over here and see whether they stole Steamboat Willie or not. Steamboat Willie. Chris looked like he wanted to say something when I made a remark about him and Google. And then I made sure to not stop talking so that he couldn't say anything. And now it looks like he's gone. Where are you?
Of course. I'm still here. Still here.
Was there something that you wanted to? Did you want to say something?
Just gonna say we were having with Discord too. So
wait, what?
We were having issues with Discord as well.
What's going on over there? Is it secure yet?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Your connection.
I think my connection's just fine, baby.
Okay, so let's see right here. As my Steam Deck falls off the side. We still got a lot of kinks going on, people. We're still working through them. So it says, no, Disney did not steal Steamboat Willie. The 1928 short and its version of Mickey Mouse entered the public domain on January 1st, 2024, meaning they can be used freely. While Disney no longer holds the copyright to this specific version of the film, they have protected the character's current, more modern designs and trademarked the name and logo of Steamboat Willie. So using them in a way that could be confused with Disney products is not allowed. How do you keep pulling this? Like,
Yeah, so how Disney actually got Mickey Mouse was they lost control of Walt Disney's previous character, Oswald the Lucky Rabbit. Then they came up and developed the idea, and the lead animator drew Mickey Mouse, which was initially named Mortimer Mouse,
Mm-hmm.
and he was introduced in the short film Steamboat Willie in 1928. So technically, they did come up with Steamboat Willie, and they owned that from the beginning, but they only came up with him because they lost control of the intellectual property for their previous character, Oswald the Lucky Rabbit.
now how would one expire and not the other?
I think it recently expired, but they somehow extended their control. I think that was recent. A year ago, 2 years ago.
So, okay.
Yeah,
So it
so
says,
basically what they did is Steamboat Willie, they took that old design and that went into public domain, and then they were like, but hey, we have this modern version of him that we can regain control and copyright of, because it's technically, when you come to the drawings and the animation and everything, it's modern and it's a new version that's different.
yeah, because I just looked up copyright duration, and it says copyright duration varies by creation date. For works created by an individual after 1978, copyright expires 70 years after the author's death. Oh, wow.
Right.
But Disney doesn't die. So
So it goes by the animator,
does it?
the original animator's death.
Are you sure? Even if it's licensed to Disney, it goes by the actual animator?
I would think it would go by the creation date of when the first drawing the animator drew up of said character.
Right. So Mickey Mouse's copyright expired January 1st, 24, allowing the original version from the 1928 short film Steamboat Willie to enter the public domain.
Were you guys aware of the tunnels?
There's no
Under
tunnel.
Disney.
Well, are you talking about the tunnels where they steal children, or the tunnels that are there to service the parks?
So that's what they're claiming. So the AI overview says Disney's secret tunnels are a network of underground service corridors called the Utilidors beneath the Magic Kingdom at Walt Disney World in Florida. These tunnels allow cast members, employees to move between park areas, transport supplies, and handle operations without being seen by guests, thereby maintaining the park's illusion. The system was designed to be built at ground level and then buried by sand dredged from the man-made Seven Seas Lagoon, which raised the park's ground level to hide the tunnels. So why did you smile when you heard me say that?
Because I know that there's a Snopes story. Was it Snopes? What's the story? Creepypasta? There's a creepypasta story about kids getting lost in tunnels.
Well, I think there was a video that somebody put in that they actually entered from outside the park and got into the park through the tunnels.
There are tunnels. There are tunnels underneath the park.
Well, what I'm saying is there was it was distinct, and it wasn't in the park. It was out of the park into a woody area that exited. Maybe that's how they get to work. I don't know. I mean, would anybody know who the fuck is in the Mickey Mouse suit? Like they're hiding them like a fucking celebrity?
I mean, there's right behind. I mean, you can look at Google Maps. Right behind, like the stage areas, you will see streets, and there's all different ways to get back there. You get into the tunnels right down there, right from there.
And if it was a tunnel outside the park, it could have technically been a proposed attraction was going to go there, and then they basically shut down that project, but the tunnel was already there.
Yeah, so they own a lot of property. Disney World sits on a property that's the same size as Manhattan. It's huge.
So it may not have been in the park, but it was probably still technically on Disney's property.
Right.
Okay, so all right, so the last child to go missing. Children go missing sometimes with tragic outcomes, such as the 2024 drowning of a 3-year-old boy near a Florida resort, and that was from the crocodile, right?
I think the crocodile was before that.
It was before that.
Yeah, I think that was before.
I think the crocodile happened like in 21, 20, something like that. That was tragic.
So you can actually find there's one that's and somebody's trying to sell it. It's a 1991 map of Disney World with the tunnels actually shown on it.
Really?
It shows the tunnels? That's crazy.
Yeah, and it's from 1991, and the person that has it is trying to sell it for $250.
No shock there.
Yeah, a lot of people would pay that.
Yes, absolutely.
They'd pay way more for that.
When Disney releases like a new popcorn bucket, people wait online for hours, and then they get their popcorn bucket. They probably get more than one, and then they sell them for hundreds of dollars. Hey, it's a $20 popcorn bucket that people just go berserk over.
So
But,
wait,
you have to.
so you and Christina decided to just stop going, or is it just becoming too expensive?
It's a number of things. Oh God, talk about Disney. It's not the same experience as what you used to have. It's very, they nickel and dime everything. So the expense is part of it. They don't do any of like, when you went to Disney, the cast members would do like special things, especially like in your room. You get like, I don't know, the theming was much better in the rooms and the surrounding areas. Now it's kind of like just, how everything just is very doctor office styled. Everything kind of feels like a dentist's office. Um, yeah, the theming is kind of gone. They keep on changing things in the park. They're saying, "Oh, we're going to make all these grand things." And in Epcot recently, it just went a big. They just did a big overhaul in Epcot that, I mean, in my opinion, is just fucking boring. Um, it's a lot of little things like that, and you just feel like you're constantly being nickeled and dimed at every little turn. Um, and so instead of spending $7,000 a week in Disney, I'd rather spend that money actually seeing real Italy or real Paris, or real Mexico instead of, you know, going to Epcot and having a drink around the world. I mean, that's fun too, but you know,
You're not really in France.
you're not really in France. No,
No. Maybe you
there are
can.
French,
What?
but no, there are French people working there. But no, it's not
Wow.
the same thing.
Really? So you
Well,
were
that's something that-
served dinner by a real French dude.
But that's something they used to do. The different countries they would have like I guess it was like a student exchange program where they would go to school here, and they would work in the parks. But I think ever since COVID, maybe they brought it back now. I don't know because they seem to be or starting to bring things back now. But um,
That just sounds like child labor with extra steps.
it probably is because they probably paid peanuts, which is typical of Disney to do.
So I just got a message. I just noticed my watch hit me. IMI is having trouble. He says that he can't add a comment onto the Camarilla Cafe chat in YouTube, and I don't see anybody commenting on there. I commented on there. If
On
anyone
YouTube?
could let me know if the comments are working, let me know.
I just commented on YouTube, so let's see. I just wrote hello. Oh, there, I see you.
Yeah, it seems to be working. He lost his chat thing, and I don't know why.
That's
Yeah.
interesting.
Me and you seem to be working on there. So he also messaged me. He said they scaled down stuff at Disney to make up for the losses from the remake of Snow White.
It's not just Snow White though. I
Hmm.
mean, the MCU movies are pretty horrible. They bought Star Wars and they didn't get the fucking point of it, so they ruined Star Wars. Uh, we could do a whole episode on Anakin Skywalker alone. But anyway, uh, it's a lot of things, and I think people who were fans of good movies have decided, well, that's enough. I'm not watching this shit anymore.
I mean, I don't think
Well,
any of their
it also
movies were
doesn't
ever
help
good.
that it doesn't help that the entire movie industry just decided they were going to remake films from the past 50 years over and over and over and fucking over again. Or they were going to take like the Fast and Furious films, take those for example. They're going to make 30 of those before they ever end the fucking franchise.
Yeah, they just keep
Yeah.
recycling.
They do. I think I just saw they're remaking what is it? Final Destination? No.
Total Recall.
No, sorry. Oh, they're making Total Recall again. No. I know what you did last.
I think IMI had watched that. He said it was one of the worst things he's ever fucking seen. But you're saying that Disney
What?
did that?
No, I don't think that's Disney. I think Dustin was saying that that's just a kind of a theme of like what all these production houses are doing. There's no original thought.
Yeah, no. And I mean, a lot of the times that's because the only people who have money to get into production are the kids of people who were writers or very successful at one point. So I don't think the talent moves downstream the way people would hope it would. It's just like everything else. It's just that the nepotism is probably more rampant in entertainment than it is in any other field. I mean, I could be completely wrong, but wow, we're having some video
I think they're
signal
just fucking lazy.
issues. Yeah, that too. It seems like they can't write a good ending on anything. They just try to get it over with.
The last few movies I've seen, they couldn't even write a good beginning. So it's hard to write a good ending when you haven't got a good start to fucking go off of.
It's true.
Well,
That's really true.
you don't think though, with the backlash that was going on with the recent Disney movies, you don't think if you worked as a higher up at Disney, you'd say this is a really, really big like exclamation point? Maybe we should turn this around.
Well, which movies are we talking about?
Oh, are you kidding? Like even the social justice that was in Star Wars was unbelievable, and that's not even hitting Snow White.
You know that I am a massive Star Wars fan, massive, right? However, I've still never seen Episode 9, the movie. I think it's. I don't even know the name of the movie.
Why? You
Return of
just don't want
Skywalker.
to. You don't want to waste your time.
Episode 8 was so bad, I almost walked out of the movie theater. And then my younger sister had gone to see the 9th movie, and I told her, I'm like, I'm not spending money on that bullshit. Just tell it to me. And she did, and I was like, well, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard of. So
So
thank
you were
you for
glad you
sending
didn't
me
go.
$40. Yeah, absolutely. I'm sad that I spent money on the other 2 films. It was terrible.
What
It was
is
terrible.
what is your issue with it? Is it the social cues, or is it just the lack of originality?
It's mostly the lack of originality and horror. Like J.J. Abrams, usually everything he touches is really good. However, I mean, maybe he was going somewhere with the movies. However, he didn't do the second one. I think that was Ryan Johnson. Ryan Johnson took over for episode 8, and man, that movie was horrible. And I guess J.J. Abrams just had to piece it together at the end for episode 9 because he did episode 9, but he didn't do much better. It's almost as if they didn't know. Like, I don't. Here's an issue. Like, I like the character of Rey, who's like the main. She's like the main character.
Mhm.
It could have been a good character. However, like she didn't have to. There was nothing to earn. She just knew how to do everything. There was
Right.
no like Luke spent years learning from Yoda. Years. And he still got his ass handed to him, you know?
It
So-
also doesn't help that you can sum up the movie in literally one sentence.
Oh yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Well,
Like, oh, protagonist to antagonist, they're related somehow. Beat up the bad guy. Movie over.
Yeah. Like there was no there was no arc in her story whatsoever. And then other things that they did. They like Han Solo. I don't care that they killed him. That's not my issue. But the first 3 movies, he had this huge story arc, right? He was just a scoundrel, basically a space pirate, right? And he turned his life around and he became something more, became a general, and he became a husband and a father and this and that. In that movie, he's a space scoundrel again. He left his family for some stupid bullshit. Are you kidding me? That's not who he is anymore. So there's a lot of things. Like I could go on about Star Wars forever, but let's not do that.
they just abruptly
It was a lot
changed every character overnight.
I mean,
With
there
no
was a lot of
reason?
things. Yeah, I think the only one they kind of got right, was Leia Organa, right? Because she was still doing what she always did. She was the leader of the Rebel Alliance. At that point, it wasn't even the Rebel Alliance. It was the Republic at that point. So, the New Republic. Anyway,
So basically,
Yeah.
you're stating just the abrupt changes, the crazy just story arcs that just get thrown out. It was the
Yeah,
insertion of a
there's-
lot of the social changes, representation.
the second movie had a lot of social changes.
Social
the first
awareness.
one, not so much. Yes, the second one definitely had a lot more of that going on.
Well, you said they
Yeah.
just made her the all powerful, and she did nothing to get there. You don't think that in any way is like a social justice maneuver?
Yeah, I guess so. That's part of it. I guess he just picked up a lightsaber and was beating up Kylo Ren, where he's trained for years under Luke and Snoke, and she just was able to best him. How?
Yeah, that's exactly how feminism works.
Yeah.
Well, they
and-
did that. Well, they did that exact same thing in the. Oh, if you ever want to vomit real hard, the She-Hulk. I like She-Hulk, right? She is a good character.
that show was
But-
horrible.
That show was brutality. Like they kept on feeding off like the same female stereotypes throughout the whole thing. I'm like, if I was a woman, I'd be kind of annoyed by this. First of all,
It was
watched
almost
more of it
aggressively offensive, wasn't it?
well, again, she was a character who became a Hulk, and she said that she didn't have to learn how to be Hulk, like deal with her emotions, because she's been having to deal with her emotions her entire life. And
Mhm.
it's like,
Well, men don't have emotions.
well, when you think about Bruce Banner, and he had to deal with like he didn't have emotions. He had to deal with the army trying to kill him at every turn. He had to live on his own like for years and learn how to basically be a grifter and all these other things, and then fighting aliens and monsters and all of this. And no, but that has no effect on him, right? That's not he's still getting catcalled is worse, I guess. I don't know.
Men don't have
Well, maybe if he would have
emotions.
went to college to be a lawyer, he wouldn't have all these problems.
Right.
So IMI just jumped in on YouTube real quick. He did the same thing with the last Matrix. It was Trinity that was the one, not Neo.
Oh yeah. Well, no, I don't think it was Trinity that was the one. It was just that they both had to be present to be the one. It was always the two of them, is what they were saying. That's the way I got it.
I don't know. He's pretty when he starts getting into this kind of stuff. I don't know.
Yeah.
I didn't watch it. I knew better. I said this is too new. They're gonna just write a flaming piece of shit, and it's gonna piss me off. So I didn't even bother watching it.
In the movie, Keanu Reeves goes on a whole monologue on why they did the movie. Basically, if they didn't do the movie, the studio was still going to do the movie without them. So basically, they did write a piece of shit movie so that they were all involved and so that there was some fan service in it.
Really?
Yeah. And they said this in the movie.
How? How did they frame that? Like they wrote it into an actual scene? Like because I know that didn't they do that the same thing in She-Hulk? They were talking about the show as the show was happening.
So yes, there was a lot. What is that? The fourth wall, breaking through the fourth
So
wall.
this
The
is
whole
like
show
the
is
new
fourth.
fad that they do, that they write into films.
Oh, I think they did it slightly different in The Matrix.
What
was
does the
more or
fourth
less-
wall mean?
Because in other words, you're talking to the audience as if the audience is there with you, right? So you're including them in on the action. That's breaking the fourth wall.
What?
Like you were talking directly to the audience. But I don't think he was talking directly to the audience per
All right.
se.
So yeah, you're right. It says a theatrical and cinematic technique where caricatures acknowledge the audience, shattering the imaginary barrier between the fictional world and the real world.
Yeah, literally the whole Deadpool movie.
Well, if that's
Which
the
one?
style of
One
the
giant
movie.
fourth wall break.
Oh, Deadpool, absolutely. Yeah. Breaking the fourth wall constantly.
And IMI
So-
said yes, it's called being meta.
So, just out of curiosity, I asked AI what's wrong with the film industry. It gave me one sentence. It literally just says the film industry struggles with an over-reliance on formulaic blockbusters, reboots, and franchises, stifling originality and risk-taking in storytelling.
Jesus.
terrible.
Literally gave me one sentence.
It's like all those writers went on strike, and you ask yourself, well, why did you come back? Because you ain't doing nothing anyways. Now, okay, so we watch a lot of like K-dramas and like Japanese shows,
Mhm.
and Yeah, some of them rely on like a lot of violence, but there is story there. Like there is story, and I feel like they're doing better than we are. Like that, we prefer to watch like a lot of those shows because at least they're fun to watch. There's good story, and yeah, there can be some violence involved, but I don't know. They have good writers, and they keep everything short, which is kind of nice.
Well, I just found the Media Education Foundation. I don't know what this is, but basically, oh man, it's got all these fucking awards. I've never heard of any of these. Human Rights Award, a 2022 award. How the Pentagon and the CIA took Hollywood.
What?
Yeah, that's what it's claiming. Well, I've heard stories about this forever, and they definitely like around in World War II, times of war, they definitely took over because they sell propaganda to boost up the military and the people going into the military. So it has been a long known thing that the government. What was that?
Uncle Sam.
Yeah.
He wants you.
See, the Pentagon's influence on Hollywood goes far beyond obvious propaganda films like Top Gun, all the way to seemingly innocuous movies from Godzilla to Transformers. This is the story of how the Defense Department courted the motion picture industry to create a cinematic universe in service to the military industrial complex. A tight, compelling, and straightforward documentary. Yeah, I'm not surprised at all. Oh wow.
What was the name of the foundation again?
The Media Education Foundation? Yeah, supposedly and the film is based on thousands of pages of documents acquired by Tom Seeker through Freedom of Information Act requests and tens of thousands more acquired by Roger Stoll from various archival sites. Some case studies drew analysis from Matthew Alford and Tom Seeker's National Security Cinema and David Robb's Operation Hollywood. Oh, no. And I Ain't You. I think that might be IMI under a different name. Says, do any of those Japanese shows have tentacles? Yeah, they put those in everything now, man. That's fucking gross. Like, if you know why it's there, they like tentacles in their entertainment. Yeah, so here's CIA.gov. Let's see. Throw on the news here. The CIA and pop culture. And this is literally a CIA website. How did you first hear about the Central Intelligence Agency? Was it in a TV show, movie, or novel? For many people, their introduction to the world of espionage and CIA in particular is through popular culture. Maybe this is just talking about like discovering the CIA through pop culture. Right? I'm not too sure. But they've always had links to Hollywood and culture, obviously, because the government is what runs a culture, right? It governs a society, civilization. So I would imagine they always have something to do with it in some way, shape, or form. But I forgot what I heard it on. I was listening to a podcast and I heard that it goes way deeper. Like, I don't know if I was hearing it on Rogan. I'm trying to remember the conversation because they were talking about a lot of how these really, really high people in high places were involved, and you could probably guess it, the occult. And how they were influenced by the occult, and they were all into the same weird things. It wasn't just like one or two people. It was everybody. But I have to do some more research because I did get a request from a couple of people recently that we go over videos and review videos. But I'm not too sure of what the rule is on that. I see a lot of people pulling it off, influencers. But every time we've watched something on the show, we've gotten hit with a copyright strike. Every time. Why are you smiling?
Even the guy who said he what was it? He fought an alien.
That we didn't. That we didn't
No,
do.
no one wanted to claim that video.
Nobody. I wouldn't want to claim it. That video is fucking ridiculous.
I think it was the best thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, so they definitely have something to do So what they'll say, if you leave it to Google, of course, they'll tell you that it's just basically has a long-standing, multifaceted relationship with the entertainment industry that involves consultation, access to facilities, and influencing portrayals in exchange for favorable depictions. The agency's Office of Public Affairs works with filmmakers and television producers, providing advice, script feedback, and even allowing filming at CIA headquarters in return for portrayals that align with the agency's public image. There have been historical instances of the CIA using cultural products like jazz music to promote American values during the Cold War. Wow, you can actually ask Google to explain this now. You saw that? How that just popped up like that? You just said I was just about to bring up the guy who punched the alien. Yeah, that video was unfucking believable. Do you still have the link to that? We can watch that again.
It might be in some show notes somewhere.
Jesus. So they're kind of saying, and if you watched any type of like sci-fi, anything that has to do with science, like you'll always see that some department from the government like had something to do with the way it was being written, I guess, because they'll claim they're giving like physics advice, stuff like that. And this is obviously telling you that the exchange is favorable depiction, you know? So they're not going to make something showing that the government is bad per se, unless they want you to think that. Yeah, and this says right here, increased CIA involvement in entertainment, historical involvement. The CIA's involvement in the entertainment industry dates back to the 1950s with attempts to promote favorable narratives. Modern collaboration. This collaboration has continued and expanded in the 21st century with the CIA working with producers on various projects. And increased collaboration after 9/11. There was a noticeable increase in collaboration between the U.S. government and Hollywood.
How propaganda was allowed. I think there was something about allowing propaganda back to the American public that was originally taken away. Don't ask me what the name of the bill was. Don't remember. So yeah, you might have seen a lot more of that. Well, it's funny. I'm looking through show notes to find that video. However, I'm finding things about propaganda and propaganda. The thing is, this is propaganda in the U.S. Yeah.
Okay, so the AP News is claiming Obama did not sign a law allowing propaganda in the U.S.
Oh, when they signed it.
But I think I've seen something about this. The Smith-Mundt Modernization Act of 2012. New government propaganda. So the American Civil Liberties Union claims is a positive step for First Amendment. New government propaganda law. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Imposing. Yeah, he signed something that was allowing them to do it again. I forgot exactly what the wording was. I think we actually covered that at one point because we were going over World War II.
Yeah. It's funny. I'm looking at the show notes. This is from 2022. We went through this.
Oh, you're looking through our show notes.
Well, the show notes I have from that time.
So the Smith-Mundt Modernization Act will go into effect on July 1st, 2013, according to the Voice of America. The new law will allow BBG to accept requests to provide its programs to organizations which, until now, it could not share them with, including U.S.-based broadcasters, publications, universities, non-governmental organizations, and others that have requested these materials over the years, while still affirming that the U.S. State Department will focus its public diplomacy and information efforts overseas. The Modernization Act allows U.S. domestic audiences to legally access U.S.-sponsored foreign information, including Voice of America. Additionally, this modernization allows citizens to receive information regarding foreign broadcasts via Freedom of Information Act requests, which were previously prohibited on the basis of the Smith-Mundt Act. I'm not even really sure of what that says, to be honest.
It's a bit of a word salad.
Yes. So the legislation was initially introduced in 1947. Smith-Mundt created the International Communication Agency, later the United States Information Agency, which eventually closed in 1999. Section 501 directed the State Department to disseminate information abroad for American interests. The act enables the government of the United States to promote a better understanding of the United States and other countries, and to increase mutual understanding between the people of the United States and the people of other countries. It sought to make permanent the information activities the State Department had begun during the war. What were you going to say?
I was going to say, but does it say anything about it having to be how true it has to be? Like
it says nothing of that.
Right. Just, real food for thought.
So amendments to the Smith-Mundt in 1972 and 1985 tightened provisions on the dissemination of information to the American people. The 1948 Act included de facto prohibitions on the distribution in real time of information intended for foreign audiences. This responded to congressional mistrust of the State Department and allied concerns by private U.S. broadcasters that they would be unable to compete with a government-funded USIA. Provisions prohibited the dissemination of U.S. State Department information within the United States, its territories, or possessions, with the exception of a Problems of Communism pamphlet, which could continue to be sold at the government printing office.
Jesus.
Okay, so they kind of tightened it up in 1985.
Right.
Is Mundane still with us?
Yeah, sorry, I was trying to look at something. I'm gonna have to jump off real quick. Our dog just got into something in the yard and his eye's bleeding now, so I need to go check
Oh
on him.
my God. Okay.
So I'm gonna jump off and go check on him.
Sure, I hope he's okay.
Yeah.
Yep, I'll let
Same
you
here,
know.
man.
See ya.
Oh wow. Okay. I hope everything's okay with him.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, he got quiet for a while. It's hard to find anything here. I know that he supposedly went easy with the bill. Does that make sense? Like he untightened, from what I understand.
Right. So he didn't say, hey, we can make propaganda, but that's exactly what's going to happen. Sorry, I'm also looking for that video, and I have a feeling that it's been taken down.
Okay.
Was it on? Do you remember if it was on BitChute?
What about the alien getting punched?
Yeah.
Oh, that's what you're looking for? I thought you were talking about the
That's what-
propaganda.
No. I'm looking for aliens getting punched, dude.
It
Come
was
on.
one of the it had something to do with ATS, with Above Top Secret. It was some kind of convention. He was at some kind of ATS convention or something like that. Yeah, and you said the Air Force is credited in the Stargate series. So, okay. So I used the AI mode after I searched, because for some reason AI didn't want to get involved. It just gave an article that said, no, he didn't do that. But it says the Smith-Mundt Modernization Act of 2012, right? The original 1948 law was designed to counter Soviet propaganda abroad during the Cold War through outlets like the Voice of America, VOA. A provision of the law banned the domestic dissemination of this U.S.-funded content to prevent the government from influencing its own citizens. Motivation for modernization. By 2012, the original law was obsolete due to the internet, where VOA content was already accessible to anyone, including Americans. Modernization was intended to increase government transparency and acknowledge that geographic restrictions on information were no longer practical. What changed? The updated law removed the prohibition on making material from the State Department and the Broadcasting Board of Governors, now the U.S. Agency for Global Media, available within the United States. So it removed the prohibition.
Right.
What did not change? The legislation did not repeal the core restriction on targeting propaganda at Americans. It is still illegal for government-funded media outlets to create and market programming for U.S. domestic audiences. A key clause specifies that no funds can be used to influence public opinion in the United States. But we know that that's not true. Remember when the campaign things came out? About how much they were paying all the pop artists for pushing for the Democrat Party?
Right.
So it's not... It's bullshit. It's basically just saying that they can't, like, say this is what we're doing and do it.
Right. Because there's no specifics. There's no specifics. So you can just do what you pretty much do anything.
It removed, right. It removed the restriction because it's saying there's no reason for it because the government takes away kind of borders. So now you're not using broadcast per se because the internet exists. So the information can still get wherever it has to go. But it's allowing them to do it. It's just saying they can't target U.S. audiences. So if they make it for general audiences, to the whole world, because the internet is to the whole world, you're marketing propaganda to the whole world, including U.S. citizens. It's just not targeting. So they could just say they didn't target it. But the bullshit's still there.
Isn't the bullshit always there?
Yes. Well, shit lives forever. Didn't Mike Patton say that?
He did.
It just, it's nonsense. So they're using semantics in the language as usual. See, this is why the whole entire industry of law still exists, right?
Right.
Could you imagine we need lawyers so that we can disseminate nonsense because everything is just full of nonsense and semantics?
Well, I feel like they've just created words in the past as loopholes, laws. I don't know.
Well, just think about it, right? If I make a contract with you and I'm like, if I do this, I expect this of you. And that's all you really have to have on the piece of paper. And it's like, okay, I trade you for this service. You do this. We're done. If you go to a lawyer to put that in writing, there's going to be 5 pages of bullshit.
Well, of what that means. Yes.
Right. Like defining it. But it's going to get so intricate on purpose. And it's going to use so many terms that you need somebody to translate your own language for you.
Yes.
So
it's lawyer speak.
So the entire industry is based off of semantics of the English language. The whole thing. We shouldn't even need lawyers. Like, you need a lawyer because of that specific reason.
I mean, to say you don't need lawyers is a little bit of a stretch, but the fact that...
Yeah, but why do you need them?
Well, you need a lawyer because not everybody knows the extent of the law, right? To certain things. But like when it I don't know. I feel like lawyers have taken that to the next level, and then it's become, like I said, it's become like word Olympics at that point. I mean, sometimes it's good to protect yourself, right? Like to say, hey, it's like this, and that doesn't mean this one thing, right? And sometimes you need that to protect yourself. But like, I don't know. I don't know. Law. I feel like because it's the practice of law. I feel like the practice of law has really become like, well, how can we kind of just fuck people out of shit?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's semantics. It's nothing but semantics because, again, you can make an agreement and say, I expect this in exchange for this, and that's it. But now they come in and they go, what?
If you're a homeowner and you pay insurance, right? and you even if you pay for flood insurance, right? People in Florida, everyone had flood insurance, but a hurricane comes and they start canceling policy. Oh, we don't cover this. It's like, yeah, that's what am I even paying for? You know?
But that should be easy. Then you should be able to go in front of a judge and say they watched the forecast outside. They canceled it on us, even though they made us pay for it for the past 5 years.
They will. There's a loophole in there somewhere that says, "Oh, but they only cover flood damage for this, but not for that." You know. So it's all written in there. It's lawyer speech. It's in there.
This whole country's become a bunch of fucking bullshit.
Well, yeah, we've been worded out of rights.
Would you like to elaborate?
So things like that, right? So you have all these laws in place, and all these companies that do shady shit on the side because they have good lawyers who can write things into policy, and or there are policies that are made through backdoor deals with government officials that just keeps us poor and them super rich. And really, it's like a game of, well, how much can we stretch the lower and middle class so that we can constantly feed the monkey.
Yes,
So
I would agree with that. And I ain't you. He's got so many names that sound almost exactly the same. He said the legal system is very similar to labor unions. At one point, you needed extra laws to further clarify more simple laws. Ultimately, it becomes too complex, and the manipulators become the lawyers themselves, not one of the contracted parties. Yeah, because people get really, really good at playing the semantics game of,
they sure do.
but you didn't say this, so that means that this isn't included in this, or
Right.
it just becomes semantics, and it becomes manipulation, and everything gets manipulated, everything, because you left out a word, or you
Right.
left out something
And they-
that you would normally assume is part of something.
So I had an accident on a bicycle in 2018, and I had spoken. It was really in brief passing with somebody that I knew who's a lawyer, and he sat down with me quickly, and he was just like, "Well, tell me about it." So I told him about the situation, and his first question was, "Did you modify the bike?" And I was like, "I did." So the bike, it's a racer, so it has those on the handlebars. It has the brake levers like this.
Mm-hmm.
A gravel bike or like a cyclocross bike has the brakes like this, as well as brakes on top. It has two sets of brakes, brake levers. I like having both because sometimes, like when I'm riding in the street and there's a lot of cars, I want to be up and I want to see what's going on. I don't want to have to, if I have to brake fast, then move my hands to the side. I added those brakes. So I told him, I said, I added brake levers. So he goes, "You've modified the bike. You're shit out of luck." Even though the issue was with the front, the front wheel was with the hub assembly.
Really?
Yeah.
So that one thing that had nothing to do with what actually went wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. He was like that would never win in court. He would lose. He
Does
modified the bike.
well, because is that they'd run off the assumption that because you modified one part, you may have modified other parts?
Correct.
But wouldn't they pull it to who assembled the bike after that? Like, wouldn't they go after?
No, so the bike, those parts come directly from the specific company, and they get put together by a certified tech. So
So if you had left
No.
the bike completely vanilla,
yeah,
then you would have had a case.
Probably.
So
Yeah.
so you said that they just locked on you?
The front wheel started to squeal as I was flying down a hill. Should have just hit the brakes as soon as I heard the squeal, but it wasn't sure what it was. And then it locked and the wheel turned and I Superman the fuck over the bike. So
Yeah, I remember when it happened, and you were
Yeah.
fucking really fucked up after that.
3 months. Yeah.
What were the injuries?
I crushed both elbows. Crushed. My elbow wasn't here, it was up here. So
You said whenever you modify a product yourself, you're essentially waiving the manufacturer's warranty and any responsibility for malfunctioning of the product.
correct.
That's the same with computers these days too, right? Like you used to at least be able to upgrade RAM without voiding the warranty. Now you can't do anything.
Let's focus on laptops, but laptops basically these days there is no everything's soldered onto board.
Right. You
So
can't
there really
modify
is-
anything.
You can't really modify anything if you wanted to. Some laptops, gaming laptops, will allow you to like add RAM or extra hard drives, but everything else, no. Which is kind of sad. Desktops, yeah, I think if you buy an Alienware and you start tinkering with it, you're modifying the parts that
And they'll allow you to do that.
I guess I don't know. So you would have to read the contract. I don't know if you're supposed to buy parts through them and maybe use one of their techs to swap the parts. I don't know what they're. I would never buy an Alienware, so no, I don't know.
The only PCs I bought that were pre-made were Alienware.
So you bought laptops. I think if you're buying a gaming laptop, that's one thing. Desktop wise, no, I would just build one myself.
Well,
wouldn't
I
even buy-
immediately, upon receiving the computer, I didn't even start the computer. I opened up the back, I threw an extra hard drive in it, and then I checked to see what type of RAM it was. I didn't even turn the computer on. I immediately ripped it open. I don't even waste time at this point. I have no hope in Apple products because we know you can't modify shit. So I don't even try it. But they make it so difficult to even look inside. They make it so impossible. Like you need to bring it to them. And now they like replace the whole thing. They don't even fix what you have. So it's almost like their own techs can't take care of it.
Well, they can't. You would have to desolder and solder. So really, if you need to fix anything, like okay, when I had my that 2017 MacBook, the MacBook Pro I had,
Mm-hmm.
the speakers went on the one speaker went, the right side went. They had to replace the whole logic board just to fix the speaker issue. I mean, it was covered under warranty because it only happened
Yeah, they had to
Well, the
throw
thing's-
out the whole board.
after the whole board had to go. Yeah.
So
was-
I ain't used as internal versus external. Any internal modding done by yourself is your responsibility, unless there's an open bay for you to slot something in. Yes. That's the way the PC components were, but now they're starting to solder everything in.
So I guess my question with that is if I'm buying an Alienware and it has slots for me to add stuff or remove stuff, I don't know. Do I have to buy Alienware certified parts and does it have to go to an Alienware technician?
Not
Had it
to
done.
my knowledge. I did have a computer that the battery was bulging, and I told them that I added another RAM slot and I added another hard drive, and they said just remove them and send it in. And then I sent it in, and they sent me another one.
Oh, that's pretty.
Yeah, they were pretty good about it. Uh-oh. So I did just get a message from Mundane.
Okay. This is dog okay?
Oh, wow. Oh, that's sad. He didn't say what happened, but I don't know if you could see that.
Oh no! Oh, he got into a fight with something. Oh. Oh no! Let's hope. Let's hope she gets better.
Yeah, I'm gonna ask him if he figured out what it was. Yeah, it must have been a possum or another animal.
A raccoon or something,
What?
or a raccoon. Raccoon's a
Out there, it could be a fucking crocodile. It could be a lot of shit. He fucking lives like in the country in Florida. And you said I should clarify the slot has to be a bay you can slide something in. If you have to open the case and insert something into the motherboard itself, you are responsible. I don't know if that's 100% correct, but it's close.
yeah.
Either which way. And you missed the one tech one that we were talking tech. Me and Mundane were talking tech for like 4 hours. and you were out. I think you showed up like a brief time. You messaged back like twice, but you missed the whole episode. We were talking about Android versus Apple versus PCs. We were looking at gaming PCs. Both of my kids want new computers. They want desktops. So I'm like, we were going over certain things to do.
They want desktops because they want a game, or they want desktops just want a desktop.
They pretty much so my older daughter, she's in college. She's using for schoolwork, she's literally just using Mac. And that's pretty much what I think we both agree. That's what she should stay on. So she's got a MacBook Air. But she loves gaming. Her and her friends love playing Dead by Daylight. They love talking on Discord and gaming together. They also do D&D campaigns. I don't think that you need a gaming PC for that, but they also do D&D campaigns. My other
I was gonna say,
what?
I was gonna say, if it's gaming laptop, gaming desktop, that they should build it. You should help them with the building of the desktop.
I'm so far removed from the whole PC scene. Like, I don't know. Some Intel stuff are going in an AI direction, and I don't like that. Like the 7 Ultra and the 9 Ultra.
Everything's going in an AI direction, though. Even the AMD stuff, there's no not going in an AI direction.
Well, they have i7s and i9s that don't have the extra AI functionality. They're doing it at the same time. Like, they're putting out i7s. One's an Ultra 7 and one's an i7. And the i7, it might have like an AI neural engine built into it, but it doesn't have what the Ultra 7 has. And all the pre-builds are coming with Ultra 7s.
Yeah, I mean, that's...
Now, but what can that possibly do in your system? Like, how is that going to benefit you? Every AI that you're getting, right, is some sort of you're calling to the server and the server's calling you back. What would having an AI chip?
So the same neural processor that's like in my M4 here will help with certain processes in the computer itself. So recently, I did a photo shoot for a friend, and I had like 320 photos. And after I was done editing, and I sent it to him, and he approved everything, and he was fine, didn't want anything else done. I shoot RAW. So when I back everything up and save it, I'll export it all to JPEG, right? Because I don't need the RAW files anymore. They're bigger, you know. And I I'm not editing. I'm not doing anything with them. I'm just saving them, storing them. So I export to JPEG. On my old MacBook Pro, 320 photos would have taken me a couple of hours to export. It's exporting and changing the file type, right? So it would have taken about 2 hours at least. This MacBook did it. I'm not even exaggerating. It was 30 seconds. It was stupid fast. And not only is it just raw core horsepower, but it's also the GPU that's inside and that neural engine that's also helping tasks out, right? So that's part of it. Probably part of what Intel is doing. And also there is on-device AI. So like a lot of okay, you know that I'm a Pixel guy, right? I love my Google Pixels, and there is a lot of AI stuff that the Pixel does on device and not is not calling to a server. So while their in-house processor, the Tensor chip, is a slow piece of shit when you compare it to the Apple and Snapdragon. When it comes to like core performance,
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to the AI performance, they blow the two out of the water. Uh, they don't really run benchmarks for that though. Anyway, neither here nor there. So there is on-device AI going on. You may not know it.
Yeah, I don't know if I like that. So I just got an AI overview from Google. Google, I mean, it says Intel embeds AI into its products from consumer PCs to large data centers to enable devices and applications to process AI workloads more efficiently. Instead of relying solely on the cloud for AI, Intel's approach allows AI features to run locally on the device itself, which improves performance, energy efficiency, privacy, and security. What does that mean about privacy? Does that mean that it becomes aware of a virus or something that's going to be a privacy implication and it will do things to mitigate?
So yeah, I guess I'm not exactly sure how that's supposed to work, but yeah, it is supposed to monitor your system and look for things like that. Look for any kind of, you know,
And
instability.
I ain't you just said you need to build Millie one with a mini ITX case. So this fucker, he wanted to build he wanted to build a PC and he had me doing it years ago. And he wanted it in a tiny fucking case. And I was like, look, if you want to be able to game with it, and everything he said, everything I mentioned, he said he didn't want to do with the computer. I was like, if you want a game, he's like, I'm not going to game. I was like, if you want to add hard drives, he goes, I'm not going to add hard drives. Every single thing he said no to, right? And then he sends me this tiny fucking case. So I'm sitting here with a magnetic screwdriver and fucking every 10 seconds, the screws are falling off. They're falling into the corners. Then I fought with him. I'm like, buy a modular power supply. He's like, oh, I got to get a modular power supply. He's like, oh, you got to be cool. You got to get a gold certified modular supply. I was like, it doesn't have to be gold certified. It doesn't have to be anything. I said, but it has to be modular. He gets a fucking non-modular. I mean, I'm in this fucking micro. It was a fucking small case, and I got this gigantic power supply, and I'm trying to cram all these things in, and I can't hide any of the cables. It was a fucking nightmare. I wanted to throw this computer out the fucking window so many times. I was screeching at how frustrating it was, and he finds this funny. He thinks it's hysterical. Where you
So
laughing at?
SFF has become quite popular these days. Small form factor has become really popular these days.
Jesus Christ.
Where like they have SFF power supplies and cases and everything for it. I kind of like the idea, and the case design has actually become really good over the last year or two. So
I've never even heard of that.
yeah, SFF. It's the way to go. Well, that's not the way to go either. My computer case is kind of big. But
Let's see. I'm looking at it right now. And this is giving me CyberPower PC. $649. Look, I could just get them one of these. So small form factor PC.
no, you should have them build it because if anything goes, they'll know how to fix it.
So it's a specific company that does this.
No, it's a specific style of small form factor.
Okay, my personal favorite for SFF are the ASRock Desk Mini and the Desk Meet. So everything's like a miniature part.
So, when you talk small form factor, you look up the cases. Like, so if you go to Newegg, you're going to look up pretty much like ITX cases, stuff like that.
It's a fucking bitch to fucking put together.
You'd be surprised. I think it's better now than what it was.
Yeah, and you just said, see, I was ahead of my time. Fuck you. He drove me fucking nuts. And he didn't help put it together either. And then once he started modifying it, because of course he got into gaming, right? Once he started trying to modify it, he understood. And he's like, I don't know how you did this. I don't know how you put this thing together. I said, I don't fucking know either. It was driving me nuts. It took me hours to get that
So,
fucking.
yeah, the older cases and designs weren't really good for airflow, but now I think they've really thought it through.
I don't know. If it's PC, I still don't know. If it's an Intel processor, if it's AMD, they create too much heat. I wouldn't want. That's one thing that's been deterring me. I have an Alienware laptop. It's probably 3 years old now, but it was a smaller 16, and I love the size of it. But the second I play any game, it immediately goes to 100 fucking degrees.
Running Intel,
Yes.
yeah, they get really hot.
The laptop is smoking. I can't use the internal keyboard. It's too hot. Like I can't play using the built-in keyboard. It was burning my fingers.
Is it a 14?
It was a 15.4.
No. Sorry. Is it a 14th gen Intel?
I don't remember. I would have to turn it on. I haven't turned it on in eons. I haven't even used it. I think I should just give it away.
So I transitioned to AMD. I'm really happy with that transition.
I don't know. I still have. You got to talk to Mundane about that. He swears against it. He is an Intel, and so. Anyways,
I don't
what?
think there's anything wrong with going Intel. I still think they make a great product. I know their last chip that they put out, wasn't as good of a gaming performance as what everyone had hoped, but they were really good on the production end. So, gamers stopped buying them, but everyone's using an X3D chip, AMD X3D.
And they have the AI neural engine built in too.
The X3D chips, I'll be honest, I don't really know. Like I don't have I have an AMD. Mine's it's the 5000 series, so it's AM4 before they move to the new AM5 platform. It's the last one. I have the 5800X. That's my processor. I know that it's like 5 years old now. Everything on it runs lightning fast. Lightning fast.
So we did get an update. He said, I wrote, did you figure out what it was? He wrote, no, that's the bigger problem. We're going to have to take him to the vet and have blood work ran because we don't know what got him. Out here, it could have been a cat, snake, armadillo, wild rabbit, raccoon. We have no clue.
Yeah.
And then I said, is there a 24/7 vet? Because I know in the area that we live in, there's a 24/7 vet. There's an animal hospital. There's 24/7. And he said in Gainesville, we have the UF vet school. My cousin works there as a vet tech. So when you bringing him, and I'll update you on that. Yeah, I
even have an AMD graphics card, and I tell you what, no, ray tracing is not really a thing on it, even though it has ray tracing. But the new AMD, the last AMD card is an absolute beast. That's outselling all the NVIDIA cards. So
now, so what you were saying earlier about the photo exports. So Apple's been doing that for a really long time. Even when they had Intel built in, they were side building encoders, very similar to digital cameras. I don't know if that export had to do with the AI enablement as much as it has to do with the extra because they knew that people weren't just using this stuff for gaming. But I think with Windows is different because it was always scalable. With Mac, it's not.
So I think with their neural engine, it's all a part of a system, right? So you have your CPU cores, which are your general horsepower, right? and then you have your GPU, which is going to handle graphics processing. That neural engine kind of bridges everything, and I think adds a certain level of flops, like they always talk about T flops, but it adds a certain amount of calculations to the process to help speed things along. How it does it, no effing clue.
So I had a conversation. I don't know if you watched the stream that I'm talking about, where we started talking about tech the entire night.
No.
Let me see. At what point do you surmise humans figured out how to even start the process of creating a PC, a computer?
When
and how? Like when do you?
Did you guys wait? Did you find this? Did you look this up?
I tried. I couldn't really get a definite, like, the first computer was produced. But what I'm talking about is like, all right, so if you're going to build a house or a cabin, or you're going to build something like, let's say you're a primate, and you obviously see, if you stack things and then you create walls, you create somewhere to live. If you have to crack a coconut, you come up with a tool to do it.
I think the first thing a primate would do was put shelter over his head.
Right.
Build from that.
Now, where do things change? Like, try to explain to me logically, what is a computer?
So I don't know what the first computer would be, but I would have to think like whatever broke the Enigma code, that's one of them. But I think there was already devices before then.
What is the Enigma code?
So that was what the Germans used to encrypt their messages, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then it was broken. I guess what is that? The 40s or the 50s? And that was broken, and they used the machine to figure out the code.
What is the Enigma code? What is that?
I just said it was the encryption they used on the Germans used on their messages. So it was like their version of encryption.
Okay, but let's say you're a visionary. Let's say you have no clue what technology is.
Okay.
At what point did somebody envision a computer and say, what was that?
The abacus.
Hold on.
That's Chinese. That's going back thousands of years. And then if you want to go, you want to talk about that machine that they found. Oh God. It was a machine that they found in a shipwreck going back thousands of years that actually has the constellation.
Yeah, but this doesn't have a screen or an input.
You don't need a screen or an input to be a computer. A computer is a computer. It has to calculate. That's all it does.
So
like what we're on right now, our computers are just calculating data.
So INU says Antikythera mechanism, first known analog computer. What
I think that's the one. That might be the thing that they found on the ship. They reconstructed it, and supposedly it shows the alignment of the solar system.
Okay. It's a complex ancient Greek device considered the world's first analog computer used to predict astronomical positions and solar and lunar eclipses.
But
discovered in a shipwreck of Greece.
Right. Is that older than the abacus, though?
So, you said yes, Chris is correct. I don't know how that's possible. Okay, so Is this a machine or a computer?
So it's a machine, but supposedly that it was accurate at predicting the solar alignment. Supposedly.
Okay, so now, when did a circuit board happen? Like, explain to me a circuit board.
I mean, a circuit board, it really has, what does it have? It has copper lines in it to connect different transistors and resistors, right? And processors, right? Microcontrollers to do a specific function, right? So you design a logic board to work with these different components to do a function, right? You could have one in a power amplifier, you could have one in a computer, you could have one in a wristwatch, you know.
At what point did they figure out how to communicate with this?
I don't know. I have to look that up.
You knew it was coming to something like that.
Well, you would say like, oh, I don't know, maybe it was like in the 60s or 70s, like when they started first like learning about this stuff. But no, it's probably way before then. I bet you that if you looked it up, like when circuitry was starting to the idea of logic boards and stuff like that was probably a lot longer than you think. It's probably a lot older first.
So, you said a computer is anything that computes. It doesn't need to be digital. Okay, so I'm referring to the digital domain. And then he says 1938 by Paul Eisler for use in a radio system. Okay, let me look up Paul Eisler.
1938, okay.
And then he says PCBs were in use during World War II by the U.S. military. Well, I'm not talking about what was in use or when. I'm saying where was the point that we learned how to communicate to something digitally?
Maybe NASA.
Okay, so
know.
Paul Eislinger, a printed circuit board, was an Austrian inventor born in Vienna. His innovations were the printed circuit board. Okay, so he created the circuit board. I don't even think I'm showing people the... There we go. Sorry, I started getting a little hungry and I started eating these fucking... maybe we should start talking about how addictive wild berry fucking gummy bears are. Well, people listening to me chew all day.
Do they taste like raspberry or cherry?
They're berry, wild berry.
So it's just a clusterfuck of berry flavor.
It's got blueberry, strawberry, wild cherry. That's my favorite one. Raspberry and blackberry. And since we're already crinkling the fuck out of the mic, we may as well get this over with and grab another handful. Haha. Okay, so like I still don't. I have a hard time wrapping my head around how this stuff works. And he writes, actual communication with circuit boards were probably after 1947. Get it? So the Nazis. Is that what I'm supposed to get?
Or Roswell. He's talking about Roswell? So yeah, I mean, I would think it goes back at least that far.
Yep, 1947. Yeah, that's when we started communicating with the circuit board. Like, at what point, what human sat down and said, okay, we're going to create this board, and it's got transistors and a bunch of shit on it. We send electricity into it, but we need to communicate with it. And we're going to teach it how to learn directions. Right? So the way our conversation was going was, Where is AI headed? What is AI? At what point does it become sentient? Does it ever become sentient?
Why do you think it isn't sentient now?
Because it's still derivative of something that just it's not in a right as I'm about to say things, I stop myself and I say, wait, it can be semantically pulled in that direction. And I'm getting confused. So you just said yes, Roswell, at least according to Philip Corso in his book The Day After Roswell, which Google claims is a hoax. And yes, I almost remember seeing that on TV when I was younger about Philip Corso. That's a total nother situation. But what were you going to say?
Sorry, what was the last thing that you had said prior to that conversation about Roswell?
What about Philip Corso?
No, before that.
Or
Anyway,
I'm about to say something, and then I stop myself because I'm thinking that
about AI, right? So about its sentience. Now I know that, like, yes, a lot of the stuff that we get is like regurgitation of stuff that's already that it's finding on the. It's basically doing a Google search and spitting back at you a Google search, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think that that's just what we get. I'm pretty sure there are AI models and there is hardware out there that is not just spitting back at you what it found on Google. That there is cognitive AI, and that you probably can't have a full out conversation with it. And that it probably did learn, or they probably did teach it from Google searches, or it doesn't have to be Google, but and through machine learning and AI processes, that yes, it has its own thought. Who knows?
Well,
Just put that there.
yeah, and INU says humans learn pretty much in the same fashion. What is the real difference? The difference is humans are awake.
Right, we're born with consciousness. It's not granted to us by
Right.
somebody else. Right.
Mm-hmm. We're born with an awareness. Animals are born with an awareness. There's a
All
sentient awareness.
Right.
A computer's still an instruction set that we build.
It's almost like we're giving something a soul.
Right.
That's really fucking crazy to say. Like, what is a soul? Maybe we should have a conversation about that.
We did have that conversation, and that's where it's going.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, and so I brought up, for anyone who's interested in looking into it, The Day After Roswell by Philip J. Corso and William J. Burns? However you say that. So basically what Philip J. Corso claimed, he's ex-military, that he was the general or the sergeant that was put into the job of figuring out where to send certain parts of the crashed ship to the different labs for research. It's been a long time since I've heard about this, but supposedly we came up with night vision after this. We came up with Kevlar. Like, we got a lot of technologies. We went into a gigantic technological boom from that crash, because those pieces were sent to different labs. Philip J. Corso was the one who claims he picked which lab, which research facilities each piece of everything went into. So we got Kevlar because he basically said that the beings were wearing a suit. So once they ripped the suit open, they were able to send that. What?
To play devil's advocate, though, you also
Fiber optics. That was another thing that came from it.
So just to play devil's advocate, during times of war, you wind up developing a lot of tech and material science. So that was also during a time of war. Just to put that out there.
That was a major leap in technology. That was a
Nope.
transformation.
That was a major war.
Even the Industrial Revolution. Again, it's an advanced version of stacking rocks. The computer revolution is totally different. It is leaps and bounds different from
well,
all
you
the
look
other
at, like,
technology.
you look at like cars though, like, you know, the first, ICE vehicle, internal combustion engine, to like what was kind of modern, like only 20 years later, was a totally different vehicle. So like you had very primitive vehicles in the beginning, and then 20 years later, you had like a very modern day-ish kind of car. Like the engines and everything else were pretty much everything was developed in 20 years. So I think when something's new and people, say people, humans, put their mind to something, amazing things happen. So I don't want to say that Roswell didn't happen. I'm just going to say that that's not the only thing.
So, you also says, do you know that for a fact? What created life and what created humanity and a soul? I'm not sure what he said that to.
Oh, because we had mentioned soul, like you're giving a computer a soul.
Mm-hmm. Fiber optics came from Roswell too. And he also said that development of fiber optics was essentially skin to hundreds, maybe thousands of years of human technological advancement. It was akin. It was essentially akin to hundreds, maybe thousands of years of human technological advancement. Once you make a quantum leap in technology such as that, it speeds up the technological advancement. Yeah, that came out of nowhere, fiber optics. We had nothing even close to that, and that just shot out like a cannon. Yes, I fixed myself. He wrote akin, not skin. I corrected myself.
Yeah, I knew what you meant.
It was akin.
Yeah, I mean, any kind of technological advancement, like I said, people, I think the science community and tinkerers, I mean, again, with internal combustion engines, really, like all those people, especially with like, who was the guy running? There was one guy running Studebaker and another guy running, and they were engineers, and they were running these companies, and what they did with cars were amazing. And in such a short time.
You said Studebaker. Is that a German company?
No, I'm not. It wasn't. Studebaker is one of them, but Bugatti. I know there's Bugatti now, but there was Bugatti 100 years ago that was
Italian.
Fantastic. I think it's yes and no. I think it's actually owned by French. It was now. I think now it's owned by Volkswagen, but I think it was a guy who went to France. I kind of forget how the whole thing. It's a French company was.
So, was a French manufacturer of high-performance automobiles. The company was founded in 1909 in the then German city of Molsheim by the Italian-born industrial designer Ettore Bugatti.
Well, you know the name is Italian, but right.
Mm-hmm. Wasn't Napoleon Italian too?
Beats me.
Mm-hmm.
He was little, maybe. He wasn't even really that short.
Napoleon was born. So he was born in Agiasso, Corsica. I apologize to anyone who was born there at the way I'm pronouncing it. But I believe it was just a random island in the middle of the Mediterranean. I'm not sure where the hell I read that.
You didn't just read that now?
No. Where is Corsica? Corsica is a French island in the western Mediterranean Sea, located
Okay.
southeast of mainland France and west of the Italian peninsula.
Yeah. So he's French.
And it was 56 miles from northwestern Italy.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
Still French.
So now, okay. So you mentioned soul.
Yeah.
Elaborate.
Elaborate on what? What a soul is, or what do I think a soul is?
Yeah,
I
just
couldn't
think
tell
out
you.
loud.
I don't know. I feel like a soul could be, you always talk about like human characteristics, like what a person is, like how a person acts, or what gives them their character. Maybe their soul is a part of that, or maybe it comes from their soul. I don't know. I'm not very spiritual. Well, I am and I'm not, but not that way. And maybe maybe it is the soul that gives you your characteristics.
Mm-hmm. Well, personality-wise, yes.
Right.
And then life frames you over years and years and years.
Well,
Now,
yes and no. I think at first your soul is, responsible for certain things, but then people pick up on other people's habits and sometimes adapt them to their own.
mm-hmm. So IMI says, I ain't you. If AI develops its own personality, does it have a soul?
Maybe it does.
I guess it depends on how you define soul. I ain't you. Why don't you tell us what you believe soul is? DNA does a pretty good job of deciding your personality. Yes, it does. But also that I don't know, that's a tough statement to make. You would need to separate the child from the parents for basically 20 years, 25 years, and see if that child still has mannerisms that were from the parents without
Right,
being
'cause-
raised by them.
Right. Because I think a lot of how people act, especially when it comes to like, parentage, it's because it's ingrained from seeing it as a young child, like seeing how people act and what they do and how they say certain things. And
Mm-hmm. That's the person you're around the most often.
right.
You pick
That's-
up on everything.
We-
And when you're a child, you look up to them. So you almost want to emulate them because you feel like that's what an adult does, right? You're being more mature by doing what a mature person does. So,
No. And go ahead.
well, I was just going to say, I Ain't You says, do an in-depth reading of twin studies, especially those reared apart. You would be shocked. Okay.
All right. So, are we going to say that twins are born with a twin soul? Does a soul go into each one at the same time? Same soul? And then again, so if that's true, and a soul in a specific way, could a AI computer or being have a twin? And is that generated? I guess you could ask the same question. Is that naturally generated in the matrix of the compute units, or is that something learned through like Google search?
So he also put, you don't pick up on them, you inherited the same qualities.
Sometimes certain things.
That thought train you were just riding on. I was trying to search twin studies, and that was really throwing me off. So wait a second. So, but how would you have? Okay, so computers aren't organic. You have to build them. So you can't have twin computers unless you build twin computers.
No, that's wrong. Everything's organic. Everything comes from an organic
Okay.
material.
But they're not baked in the same oven unless you do it on purpose. Like a computer doesn't just manufacture its oh god. In the future it probably will manufacture itself.
Well, what is
You get
what is-
what I'm saying.
Listen, I'm arguing the point I don't like. But what is thought other than just neurons firing, you know, in a right?
I'm arguing the point I don't like.
You know what? How is that so much different than a silicon chip? You know, making its own decisions.
Wait, what? Let's go backward a little bit. What was that statement again?
All I said was, like, all like what we're doing right now. Right?
Okay.
We're having a conversation on a computer, right? And over airwebs and whatnot. And what's enabling our ability to have this conversation is basically the neurons in our brain firing.
Okay.
Right. We have neurons that are basically very similar to like, well, let's just say how a CPU works, right? They're firing, and it's allowing us to have these logical assumptions, right? How is that
what
so
we
much
consider logical? Yes.
right? So how is that so much different from what a silicon chip does, right? If you just like, okay, so like in Star Trek, there was this. I don't know if you watch Star Trek at all.
Oh,
anyway,
God,
Next
Star Trek.
Generation.
Okay.
Stop it. Next Generation. There was the.
It was so boring.
No, you're totally wrong. Anyway,
Star Trek was so boring.
it was the Data, right? He was the. Will you stop laughing at me?
I'm
He
listening.
was the android that in the show. And he was like the opposite of Spock because while Spock was human, he chose not to feel, right? Spock was a living being. He was half human, half Vulcan, but he chose the Vulcan way, right? Which is to be very logical. The android, who was obviously, all logical driven, wanted to be able to feel and understand and be more human with his emotions, wanted to actually have emotion. So if I'm not wrong, later in the seasons, they actually had like an emotion chip and which allowed him to feel emotion. I completely forgot where I was going. I kind of went off topic, but what's the difference between Data having emotion and being able to feel and a organic human?
Well, here's the thing. So we're born naturally, and we already have this intricate system, right?
Right.
So let's say you build a computer. You have to build it with the features with drivers in order to enable, right? So if we made a computer right now, it doesn't feel.
I don't mean to cut you off, but define born.
Oh God, are we gonna get to the birds and the bees, Chris?
Yes.
Do we have to talk about this?
Well, okay. When you say born, does it have to include sex?
Not anymore.
Because,
But
okay.
but
All right.
the insemination still needs to happen. So the egg inside a woman gets inseminated by these things called sperm, right? And that's carrying the male's DNA. It does this long journey through the desert. It makes this, it's like a marathon. They're all fucking chasing after it, right? And you're hoping that the best one's the one that makes it, right? You don't want to be born.
Well,
This is subpar
listen,
here.
Everybody's won one race in life, right?
Yes, you won the race to the egg. So
One race. Everyone's won one.
so now I'm not a scientist, so I can't really further elaborate. I don't want to make any statements that sound foolish, but to put it in layman terms, the sperm inseminates the egg, and now it starts creating an embryo, very similar to the egg that you crack and eat for breakfast, right? So you start cooking up in there. It starts putting you together, right? But here's the thing that makes it, again, organic, is that there aren't bones already there. The process of the sperm and the egg intertwine and start and use nutrients that the mother digests, and mothers digest a lot. And then they start using the nutrients, and the body creates organic material that starts to become a human. Right?
So
This whole
you would say that-
process takes place on its own. You're not building.
So you would say that that egg is being programmed DNA wise, with sperm.
But it doesn't have
And
to. It doesn't have to dig into the ground to find minerals to create a logic board. You're not.
We're all stardust. So
Oh
we
my
all come from
God.
the same-
All right, Ziggy. Hold on, but real quick, we got I ain't you here. He said, you don't pick up on them. You inherited the same qualities, right? Then when I said, why don't you tell us what you think a soul is? He said, I can't say one way or the other that there is a soul, not to play semantics, but it really depends on what you mean by the term soul. Yes, that's the problem. The whole thing is semantics. Computer chips would be considered to be exact replicas of one another, essentially twins. Jean-Luc Picard kicks James T. Kirk's ass. If you found out humans were hybrid creations, not natural as you put it, would that change the way you think? You assume human creation was a purely natural process, but what if it wasn't? And then he said, if you were created, then you create as humans did AI. Again, what is the real difference? Because we have no clue at the moment how to perform the type of alchemy that it takes without having an egg for we do have test tube babies, don't we?
So
Oh
we
man.
do. However,
I'm trying to find a way around this.
what if the natural process of what we are creating is life? So not everything has to be born organically that way, but what if what we are doing with computers and robots, and I mean, look at the way that those Boston Dynamic computers function. I mean, they function human-like. So maybe it's not going to be like batteries not included, where they have like robots give birth to mini robots, but I think still the ability to create and pass on is still there, even if robots are building other robots.
I mean, there's still an analog, non-digital, and you're not using industrial production. It's still the same thing as animals. An egg is being inseminated, and the process of nature takes place. There is no farming for materials. There is no. The body produces an organic being. It creates itself. I don't know what sort of alchemy we would have to learn to do to make a computer inseminate another computer and spit out an Ultra 7 core. I don't know like this one wasn't born with enough RAM. Ha ha ha. You know, like
I guess my thing is, and I guess this goes back to the soul. I don't care what the body does. The body could be anything, as long as the object has its own personality and freedom of thought. That to me is a living creature.
I guess you could see it that way. In a sense. Again, there's that natural process that has to take place. There's that natural analog alchemy that happens.
I don't know about that.
What do you mean you don't know about that? That's exactly what happens.
Again, well, I'm just talking about what it. Okay, so
go stick your dick in a computer and see what happens. see if you make a robotic Chris.
That reality is over here.
Hi, Daddy.
I ain't you. Yeah. I ain't you says a computer AI develops to. God, I need my glasses. Develops to point where it could fully create another computer without human assistance. What is the difference?
That's still, again, you would have to account for the alchemical occurrence of an egg creating the entire system. Like, without farming, you're not looking for a battery, you're not building something. Of course, anybody could build anything, right? Well, there are a lot of retards out there. Maybe you can't. But technically, anybody can build something. You can build a chair. You can build a table. You can build a computer. But you can't build another human being from nothing. Like, the sperm goes to the egg, and from nothing, you maybe fuel it with some food, and it creates a human.
Well, it's not a human being. It's its own thing.
Oh,
but that
no.
Doesn't mean it's not, but that doesn't mean it's not sentient.
Let's not get into this conversation. When does the heartbeat start?
Okay.
I don't know if we want to get into that right now.
All I'm saying is, I'm not referring to AI being a human being. I'm referring to AI being a sentient being. It doesn't have to be human, but it's its own sentient being.
But then you would have to. Okay. So I have a theory.
Dog is not a lion, and a lion is not a bear, and a bear is not a human. But they're all sentient beings.
Right. But they're all analog beings too. They're all
right.
They all develop embryos and actually grow. Like there's the alchemaic thing called birth that happens. You don't just cook up an Alienware. Not yet. So okay. So they say when the body dies, right? When somebody dies, they lose about 3 to 4 pounds right off the bat. And usually that's the electrical charge that's in the body. And usually if somebody dies, what do they use to resuscitate them?
An electrical shock. Right.
So what if consciousness and electricity are intrinsically connected?
I mean, I don't know about that. I think everything runs off of some kind of power source, right? We eat food to burn calories to make energy. So I don't know if electricity makes consciousness, but
so
it's used to fire neurons to let me think.
So I
think that stops.
He also says you are looking at it purely from a human-centric point of view, but I'm not, because that's the same way a duck is born. That's the same way. So am I looking at it from a bear point of view? That bears fuck and then all of a sudden gestate small bears? Like, it's not a human-centric, it's nature. Like, everything has a natural process to producing another and passing the DNA along.
Well, yeah, but what is DNA? DNA is basically like programming.
Sure, you could
Right. So what's the difference if the program is DNA or a binary, version of logic
Well,
or Mac OS?
see, but this is where I'm trying to bridge the gap somewhat. Let's say that consciousness or the spirit, the Holy Spirit, right? The energy, right? And energy is neither destroyed nor created, right? It's eternal. If the energy is a conduit to consciousness, so because we still don't fully understand it. So now when we're shocking, so what Mundane kept saying that we were making a joke, we were going to make a shirt out of it. He says that computers work from shocking a rock. Like that's where all this stuff started, is shocking a rock. Same way as Frankenstein. You're shocking Frankenstein into being. Yeah, I'm telling you, I got to send you part of that recording because it was really funny when he started talking about shocking rocks. It was fucking hysterical. But if you think about it, like maybe the consciousness is in the energy.
So you're saying that electricity has consciousness?
That they're not necessarily that any electricity you have is intrinsically consciousness, but they're tied together somehow. Energy and consciousness and awareness are both intrinsically tied together. So then that would make sense that we're basically building an avatar for a being.
Well, that would be a nice sentiment because then you're saying that no one really ever dies because there's no real thing as lost energy.
Well, we have 1,000 religions based off of that. I mean, think about it. Life
Energy
goes on, right?
Right. So, I mean, I don't know about that. You're talking about electricity. I don't think so. That's not how I look at it. I don't think that's what soul is. I don't think it's has anything to do with electricity. More so that it's, I don't know. No one knows. That's the whole thing. No one can really define what a soul is.
Right. And I agree with that. Full.
Right.
There's no other real way to think about it. But yeah, I mean, from that perspective, then you can make the claim that you're building a machine. So you can kind of claim that the second we die, we lose an electrical charge. We also lose our consciousness. I mean, realistically, we're all inhabiting avatars in a sense, right? Especially people who could pull up past lives.
Right.
Like, think about that. People who bring memories from past lives. Obviously, it's not coming from the DNA per se. Maybe the ability to access a past life comes from the DNA because you're given a certain avatar with certain abilities, and we're obviously somewhat limited to whatever the avatar is capable of, right? Some of us are born with more RAM than others, and more CPU cores, so you can process a little harder. But there's also things that we take with us that are not intrinsically tied with the avatar.
Okay.
So, again, if you lose the electricity at the moment of death, you can say that your electricity kind of passed on or your energy's moved somewhere else. Now, how we harness electricity could be a very small subsect of what energy actually is, right? Like there's been debates about free energy for a fucking 100 years now, over 100 years. The earth energy grids, like energy, there's a lot more to. Does that make sense?
Maybe that's for another conversation because I don't understand why we would create a device that burns at millions of degrees millions of degrees to just heat water and turn a generator. Like that doesn't, to me, that doesn't make any fucking sense, but sure.
What do you mean? You're talking about
So, they want to make, they're doing all these plasma reactors, right? And it's like the race to create the first plasma reactor. And they have to burn at like something like 100 million degrees or 120 million degrees. I forget what the goal is. Maybe it's hotter than that. I don't know. And it's, so hot that whatever it touches, it'll melt. So it has to be, they're spending trillions of dollars in research and material science to create these reactors, right? And I'm like, well, so I looked up, like, how do you harness the energy of these reactors to make electricity? And it's like, oh, you take some of the heat that is produced to heat water to create steam, and then that turns a turbine. And I'm like, all that research and energy to turn a fucking turbine? That's insane to me. I mean, that's insane. It's like a nuclear reactor does the exact same thing. A nuclear reactor heats water. You stick those rods into water. Now, that's a little different because the water doesn't turn into steam. It's under so much pressure that it stays liquid. And to contain the water from contaminating, from getting out, it's in a closed loop system. So that water actually runs in like another tub, which heats that water. So water heats other water to turn that into steam. Then that turns a turbine. And that's how that works.
So it's almost as if a bunch of monkeys are using a bunch of shit they don't know how to use.
So, in other words, trying to find cleaner ways of turning a turbine.
Mm-hmm. So, I Ain't You just said plasma wouldn't produce radiation like a reactor. And then he also said before that the processor of a CPU operates in the same fashion as the human brain.
Yeah, I said that before.
Mm-hmm.
Right. It doesn't create radiation, but it creates millions of degrees of heat. Millions. And also takes an absurd amount of energy to run. So the whole problem is they want to create it so that it's self-sufficient, right? So it has to create enough energy to keep itself running while
so they want this thing to just run itself indefinitely.
Run itself, right.
Whoa. Yeah, I don't know anything about that. I don't know anything about energy production. I can't claim to know what electricity or energy is. I'm basically a layman talking layman terms, trying to understand things that are way above my pay grade.
Well, isn't that like the whole Edward Scaldin conversation?
Edward Leeds Scaldin? We spoke about that too when me and Mundane were talking. We spoke about Edward Leeds Scaldin. I'm going to hit this filter, by the way. I want everybody to know I'm using a new microphone tonight. I hope my voice sounds good. Please let me know if it doesn't. I'm going to hit the filter because the high end's starting to get to my brain. So I'm going to hit that, and I'm probably going to sound a little duller, but probably a little more digestible for the next.
That's a
wow.
Stretch.
What are you thinking about it sounding with this? This is the 10K.
Well, I had told you earlier that I liked 10K. I thought it sounded really good.
Okay, so now I sound maximum sexy to you, like full blown. This is what you want.
Oh, 24/7. You're like McDonald's, like a walking McDonald's.
You got it, baby. So he said, I Ain't You also said, so you melt, but you won't die of radiation poisoning. Yeah, every single approach we take in order to sustain the civilization we've built or the technology that we've built, any single way we take seems to just kind of kill us in some other fashion. Like things
Right.
never seem to be in a stabilized understanding. Like I said, there's an organic process that happens with most things, with the ecosystem, with the embryonic nature of life, right? What we're doing is a total disruption of natural embryonic life. Like, it's manufactured. Does that mean that like a carbon-based life form can't exist somewhere in the solar system? I don't know. But what we're doing doesn't seem to be natural in any fashion. Like, nothing occurs in nature. You can argue that the parts all occur in nature, and then we're alchemically transforming it into something different. But nothing reproduces naturally. Computers aren't going to reproduce naturally. Even if a computer learns to build another computer, it's just a fucking computer building a computer. But there's no embryonic production. It's going to need a conveyor line. It's going to need something to power that source to do it. Whereas two people can go live in the prairie, eat plants all day long, and fuck, and then they're just going to have children abound, like in abundance.
But
Computer won't work that way.
You still need a food source, like a computer needs a plug. You still need to eat.
But it's different because the ground supplies the food source. You can eat grass, for Christ's sakes. Like,
No, you still need grass. It's
yeah,
not
you
a
can.
suf-
You think
source.
people haven't survived off eating grass? Fucking cows eat grass. They live.
Along,
Cows get huge, and then we eat the fucking cows, and we get big.
we eat the meat.
We eat the meat,
That's
right?
That's different.
What do horses eat? Fucking Alistair Overeem used to eat the horse meat. He was gigantic. He was like 260.
Okay, but I don't know what a horse eats. I mean, they eat other things than just hay or grass. So they
Hay
eat
is kind of
apple-
like grass, just different kind of grass. It's just shit that comes out of the ground.
No, stop it.
And you said, what's the difference between a plasma reactor and the sun? Nothing.
Not much. The sun is a plasma reactor.
But the sun's a natural plasma reactor, to our understanding. I keep having to preface with to our understanding. Whoever
Right,
put that there was a genius, because our shit doesn't work anywhere close to that one.
No,
There's a
nowhere
big
near.
difference. But yeah, again, that's like I said, that is the point I'm trying to prove, is that nature has an ecosystem that is self-sustaining. Nothing that we're doing is self-sustaining. Nature can disrupt what we're doing and throw us back 100 years in a matter of 5 minutes. It's not just going to start redoing computers.
Right. Well, we're trying to recreate the wheel.
Yes,
Right.
like an
People-
alternate.
People want to create a living being that's not a baby.
And that seems so counterproductive, right? Because you could just have a fucking baby.
Well, I'll tell you the truth. I can't wait till cars drive themselves, because maybe then I won't sit in fucking 3 hours of traffic in Staten Island.
But that's automation. That's different.
It still has to think. There has to be some kind of logic to it.
Not really. It just needs a camera and it just stops. It's still programmed. It's still running an instructional set.
Right, but all the vehicles need to talk to each other. Like, there has to be communication. They need to talk to each other. Car A has to know where car B is going. So if it needs to switch its lanes, it lets it.
That's
There has to be,
that's
right,
why we
to
live
get
in a fucking microwave. It's called 5G.
well, 6G's coming. Anyway,
Is it? Stop it.
there's talk.
I'm
There's
looking that
talk.
up. There's fucking talk.
Look it up.
Isn't it
Yeah,
funny how
yeah.
they just implemented that so quietly? Like
6G.
in Europe, people were ripping down the poles and like destroying the 5G installations. And then all of a sudden, the coronavirus hit. And then they quietly put everything up. And all of a sudden, we were allowed back out. Here was 5G. Like, we were just getting microwaved. We were getting nuked. Fucking 6G. Oh, no.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
It's coming, babe.
fuck. 6G is the next generation of wireless technology currently in development that will offer significantly faster speeds, lower latency, and greater capacity than 5G. It aims to integrate AI, that's nice, sensing, and computing into the network to enable advanced applications like holographic communication, autonomous systems, and smart cities, with commercial use expected around 2030. We're in 2025. They're expecting this to happen in 5 years. While still in research phase, 6G will require new spectrum bands, advanced infrastructure, and global standards to become a reality. That's fucking wild.
Yeah, iPhone 21 is going to be all ready to go.
They're constantly talking about don't put the cell phone in your pocket because you fucking nuke your balls and you never have children after that. And now we're going to do 6G. Notice how it also says holographic communication. That's funny because we're supposed to be seeing some holograms coming up very soon. If you're not aware of what I'm speaking of, or anyone else is, we're supposed to be seeing some holograms. You have you seen the technology yet that they have in China? The holographic stuff.
What you talking about TV wise?
No,
Because I just saw something recently of holographic displays. They look pretty insane. Plus, didn't they just do something with Michael Jackson a couple of years ago? Where it was like a holographic performance of Michael Jackson.
this is what they're learning to do. Hold on, I got to be careful here with the volume because I don't want it to. Let me make sure this isn't going to blow you up.
I Ain't You says, "Don't worry about 6G. Remember, the sun is going to fry us by 2028."
Yeah,
True.
look at that.
Don't look it up.
You don't see that? Those are holograms. Now notice at the bottom, it says Blue Beam. We'll get into that in a moment.
It says what?
Blue Beam. It's a hashtag. So, here, take a look at these. That looks incredible.
So, okay,
Wow.
so there's a display in the city.
That does this.
Something similar. But it's a display. I don't know how it's coming out of the display. That's pretty interesting.
Look at this. So, and I Ain't
Okay,
You.
Are these people really seeing that, or is it just an AI overlay?
Supposedly, this is really happening. Have you seen some of the graphics in the Sphere?
Well, the Sphere, yeah, I get that.
But
The whole thing's screen.
real quick, I Ain't You said, "How do you know the natural process of life is for life to evolve to create life? Why fixed on the promise that natural is only things that humans haven't tinkered with? Because the whole Earth works as an ecosystem. It's not just human. It's animalistic. It's life. It's plants. We understand how those things work, and they work in a very natural state." And then he
Yeah, but we're not symbiotic with the rest of the planet.
said, "Correct. Well, we are
So-
an animal like the rest, but
We're an animal, but
we're a little different."
we, instead of contributing to the natural order of the way this world works, we seem to be going around that.
But
So
But until 1947, we seemed a lot more like we were an advanced ape all the way up until if you take their story at face value, We were still an animal like anything else. And we just had the ability to build forts, kill each other, and fuck. That's all humanity did for hundreds of years. We developed swords. Maybe we made some explosives.
We had explosives.
But
we had theories. There was already Einstein and other physicists who were already around discussing the theories of how to do specific things. So it just that the technology wasn't there, but the thought process was already there.
But now that the technology is here, it's we've gone leaps and bounds away from nature, like incredibly. And then he wrote, "Don't worry about 6G. Remember, the sun is going to fry us in 2028. So, okay. So we're seeing some holographic stuff here.
Yeah, but again, I can't tell if that's real hologram or if that's just AI overlay onto something else. Because a lot of these videos are bullshit.
I mean, this is a little... That's not exactly what we were talking about here. I'm not seeing...
Disney
look at
does
that.
stuff like... You see how they're putting the smoke... Like how they're adding the smoke. And they project things into the mist. Yeah.
That was pretty fucking impressive.
Yeah, there's a screen like that in Manhattan that does stuff like that. It looks like it's coming out, but it's not.
The
Right.
biggest factory from China.
It's an optical illusion.
Oh, no, I didn't mean to do that.
You messed it up, buddy.
Some of this looks amazing.
Yeah, it's cool as hell.
Amazing drone magical holographic light show in China.
So this is a drone show.
I guess.
So basically, they took the premise of Spider-Man and made it real.
Well, let's see. I hope I don't get a fucking... So now they're showing you how they're going to do it. I hope I don't get a copyright strike for this. Actually, I'm going to kill the music so that maybe... Look at that. Now, that's different from what Blue Beam is supposed to be. I would swear that we did talk about Blue Beam at some point on the show. I'm trying to remember when we did.
Yeah, okay. I've seen this 100 times. Yeah, they do crazy things with drones, but this isn't like a hologram.
No, it's a bad video. There we go. Look at that.
It's the same thing. It's drone with lights, right?
No, that's not drones.
Oh, I see it. Again, I don't know what people are looking at. Are they really looking at that, or is it something else they're looking at, and then someone's overlaying it with like that? Yeah,
It's CGI, not holograms. Get a couple of people to react to nothing in the sky and add it later using VFX. That is somebody.
Right.
And
Right.
now somebody
Bullshit.
actually wrote, not hard to imagine UFO simulated invasion. Now it said, besides the fact that this technology started as Blue Beam project over 30 years ago, any technology that gets released to public from the Defense Department knows how to deal with it.
Yeah, this is just bullshit.
So yeah, so from about 30 years ago. Now I don't know who was the one who pushed it out. Project Bluebeam. So basically what Project Bluebeam was, it was like a CIA mind plan for civilization, that they were going to fake an alien invasion, and then they were going to fake a spiritual awakening to the world. They were going to broadcast these things into the sky in front of everyone to unite the world and to create a one world religion. That they're going to use these things to stage an invasion. So we'd see holograms.
I
And
think the government got too much time on its hands. Like, I'm going to create a one world religion. No, you're not. It's going to be thousands of religions, regardless of what you do.
so this is a totalitarian universal government and abolish Abrahamic religions. That's basically it's a new world order. Like that was going to be the final step. Then they're going to use this technology, which supposedly they've had since the 50s. Now people are starting to see it on a commercial level, on a public level, but they've had this forever, and that they were going to wait for the right time. Funny thing is, I think Bluebeam was supposed to happen this year, and they're talking about that rock out in the solar system, that it's a ship. They believe it's a ship. Have you heard about that?
Yeah, that long. It's very long, cylindrical.
Well, mainstream scientists are saying that they believe it's a ship. So that's the first time we're hearing mainstream say something even remotely like that.
So I feel like I'm going to be an asshole. Define ship.
I mean,
So is a ship anything that carries life on aboard it? I mean, is it possible it's really just a space rock, but
Okay.
you're gonna find organisms living on its surface?
Okay.
I don't know.
Ship definition. I believe it's something that's man-made. It's a vessel that was created with the intention of carrying. A vessel larger than a boat for transporting people or goods by sea. Right. So, and I think it's not in the definition, but I would imagine it would be a vessel that is created with the intention of doing that.
Sure. I don't know.
See, like, so what qualifies as a ship? Large, can make independent voyages in the high seas. I mean, you can claim that somebody could do that on a piece of particle board that floats, but that's not the same as building something with the intention of doing so.
Sure.
So I think that is the
So that thing floating in space, I think no one really knows what the hell it is. I think it's just a piece of the solar system that's traveling along.
Okay, so this says the idea of a large ship in space coming to Earth is a viral claim from the summer of 2025 by the interstellar object 3II Atlas. But this is a misunderstanding of scientific speculation. While some scientists like Harvard's Avi Loeb has posited that its unusual trajectory and characteristics could hint at an artificial origin, mainstream science identifies it as a natural interstellar comet, not an alien spacecraft. 3I Atlas is not on a collision course with Earth and will pass by at a safe distance.
Mm-hmm.
Seeing there
That's
is
what I
a
had.
video from Gravitas saying aliens approaching Earth. Scientists claim it could be alien technology. You don't believe that it is?
Alien technology? No. I don't think there's any evidence to say that it is alien technology.
What is the evidence to say that it's not?
It's not emitting any kind of radio frequencies or anything along those lines. It's flying in a pretty straight line. I don't know. It's unremarkable looking.
It's unremarkable looking.
It really is. You know, are you going to say, "Oh, it's alien," so you don't know how they would design something? I think aliens would design something that has a little bit of character to it. You know, not just look like a broken piece of rock.
Some flair to it.
Something, yeah. The aliens. You know, if you've got the tech to come all the way out here from somewhere else, then you have some kind of design and fluid design technology and all this other stuff.
What if it's built with the intention of not being identified?
Well, then good for them.
I mean, we wear things in warfare that look like plants so that we mix with the plants, right?
Sure. I don't know.
I mean, we're not
So
exactly suited for style.
Yeah, but that would mean that their intentions are just meant to be bad. But at the same time, if you're an interplanetary vessel, you still need, I don't know, to just be a rock. No. Like,
Well, rocks travel through no problem all the time. That's the thing.
Right. They don't require propulsion because, you know, they're already in motion in space.
Okay.
But something man-made or alien-made is going to need some kind of propulsion, whatever that might be. And even if it's bending space-time, like it's going to have to move. And obviously this thing isn't bending space-time, it's moving.
Well, I'm just saying, like, I would, if I were a smart organism that was coming here for whatever reason,
Yeah, you'd cloak yourself.
I would cloak. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I think if it was that kind of if they had that kind of technology, they would do the see, you're not a Star Trek fan. They would be able to turn their ship invisible.
But maybe that is what it is it's a cloak. Maybe they don't have invisibility, but they have cloaking.
They can make themselves look like a rock.
We look at comets all the time. We look at other planets that
Yeah,
we claim are just rocks.
They don't look like that. That thing is unique.
I don't even know what it looks like.
Look it up.
Let me see what this thing looks like. Let's see if we have a picture of this. I'm going to hit images. Okay, that's the best we got. That looks like it could be a fucking ship. And now one of them says there are a lot of fake something. So now somebody's going to claim that is fake.
Well, again, I don't know what took the picture of this thing. And is it just a regenerated photo of it? I don't know. It's definitely a long. What it was described as was like a very long space rock. I'm like, all right, but I don't know. I feel like people are just making hype over this thing to just make hype over it.
Well, I think the public, I think people are nervous, like very nervous and very skeptical, because they don't trust the government. They don't trust the news. They don't trust anything they're being told at any point. I think they have a right to be that way. You have to be skeptical about everything they tell you.
Absolutely. I agree with that. But
And it does seem a huge coincidence. Like, a lot of people have been admitting that, oh God, fucking I ain't used starting in again. Said maybe the ship is sentient itself and there are no passengers. Maybe. Maybe it is. What was the movie where it went through and it was got possessed by demons? I'm trying to remember the name of it. It was a great movie. It was a horror
The
movie.
Sphere.
What was that?
Sphere.
No, it wasn't that. It was not the one I'm thinking of.
Who was the actor? Name an actor.
I don't remember. Hold on.
The Sphere has the guy from Jurassic Park. Event Horizon. Oh, that's right. That's right. Your brother got it.
Wow, he got that fast. Well, he's the one who recommended me the movie, so I guess he was gonna get that. But yeah,
That's
yeah.
the movie I'm thinking. It's got Sam Neill in it.
I thought you were about to say Neil deGrasse Tyson. Neil deGrasse.
Neil deGrasse. No, I'm getting really tired.
You look it. He said Sam Neill and Lawrence Fishburne.
Lawrence Fishburne, right?
All right. So I guess you're given the warning that
Yeah.
it's almost time
Yeah,
for Betty Bye, huh?
I'm starting to check out. I'm not gonna lie.
All right. Well, we've been on for a pretty impressive amount of time tonight.
I have no idea. What time did we start? 11:30. I have
No,
no idea.
we started at
Clock?
like 9:30.
No, bullshit. It was like 10 o'clock your time, 11 o'clock my time.
Hold on. Well, it's 12:40, and I'm looking at OBS because that's what I use to broadcast, and it's saying that our run time is 2 hours and 44 minutes.
All right, so 10 o'clock your time,
Mm-hmm.
11 o'clock my time.
No, 10 o'clock your time, 9 o'clock my time.
No,
2 hours and 44 minutes. 2 hours.
oh, shut up. See, I'm tired. I can't do math.
You need an abacus. You don't have the world's first computer. Unless I just really fucked up the math and now you just gave up
No,
because you're exhausted.
I think I did because 2 hours and 44 minutes would be 11 o'clock.
Why? Is it 1:41 over there?
Yes.
I think we're really getting fucked up with these time zones. So Bonica's in New York. I'm in Nashville. We're in two different time zones. And we always get confused. You're going to start at 10? Which 10?
Yeah. Just put CST the next time.
And I Ain't You said 10 our time, not 9. So he's on Central Time as well. Okay. Well, just to update everybody before we go, Mundane had updated. He said that they're headed to the vet so they could check for rabies and make sure it wasn't a snake bite or anything. So he's bringing the dog over, and I guess he found a 24/7 thing, or he's going to his cousin who's a vet. So that's good. We hope the dog's gonna turn out all right over there. And yeah, I guess with that, I guess we have plenty of material to talk about the next time, right?
I hope so.
Sentient life. It's like our first hour is usually wasteful, and then after that it starts getting really interesting and
That's
deep.
fine.
We need to get exhausted in order to start talking about crazy stuff.
Listen, there's a few podcasts I listen to that are like that, and it's like the first hour is absolute nonsense and bullshit, and then like they get into the meat and potatoes of it,
The nitty gritty.
the nitty gritty.
All right. And with that, I want to thank everybody for coming and showing up and hanging out. And with that, we'll see you guys next time. Thank you for being on, Chris. Thank you, Mundane, for wherever you are listening. And I guess we'll see you guys next time. Have a good week.
Sign it off.